February 2024, X headquarters, San Francisco. The storm didn't start with a press release, it started with a smirk. Mark Cuban looked straight into the camera on The Daily Show, leaned forward and dropped it like a grenade wrapped in moral clarity. Elon Musk isn't running Twitter. He's running global speech. That's power no one man should hold. The studio laughed nervously. Stewart grinned. Cuban didn't blink. He didn't need to. 50 seconds later, the clip detonated across timelines. Within 5 minutes, every media outlet had clipped it, framed it, reworded it into clickbait. By the time it reached Elon Musk's desk in San Francisco, the phrasing had mutated from critique to condemnation. Musk, the dictator of discourse. Cuban slams, Elon, algorithm, tyranny is real. Elon didn't slam his desk. He didn't call PR. He just stared at the monitor, index finger hovering above the keyboard like a trigger. His office was dim, on purpose. He liked seeing the glow of information rather than artificial light. Then came the words, Mark Cuban thinks transparency is a threat. That's rich. 9 words. No hashtags, no emojis. Just war drums in plain text. The tweet exploded like shrapnel. Within the hour, Ben Shapiro reposted it. Lex Fridman shared it with the caption, "The line between power and paranoia just got sharper." Progressive media hit back harder. MSNBC accused Musk of playing the victim while holding the megaphone. The Verge published an article titled, "Billionaire Feuds Are Not Free Speech." But Musk didn't tweet to retaliate. He tweeted to mark something, a boundary, a point of no return. Because deep down, he wasn't fighting Cuban. He was fighting a narrative. One that said billionaires who didn't lean left were inherently dangerous. Cuban was just the latest face for that narrative. Elon leaned back in his chair, arms folded, voice low. "He calls me dangerous," he muttered. Number, what's dangerous is pretending free speech is safe when men like him are the ones holding the scissors. Then he tapped the desk. The door opened. Head of Trust and Safety, Lydia Chen, entered with a tablet in hand. "You saw it," she said. "Full diagnostics on his feed," Elon replied. "His habits, interactions, engagement patterns. I want to know not what he's saying, but what he's avoiding." "Understood," Lydia nodded. "Public or private response?" Elon's eyes narrowed. "Public silence. Internal scrutiny." She left without another word. Elon stood and walked toward the glass wall overlooking the city now bathed in dusk. In the distance, the Pacific flickered like a black mirror. This wasn't a spat. This was escalation. And it wouldn't end in a boardroom. It would end on timelines, in algorithms, and eventually in votes. San Francisco, X headquarters. Later that evening, inside the executive floor of X, the tension wasn't spoken. It was coded, digital. In the dim-lit data command center, a dozen engineers stared at massive curved monitors, watching in real time as interactions surged around Cuban's comments. Posts were being generated at a rate of thousands per second, each one a sliver of outrage, praise, confusion, or mockery. Lydia Chen, still reviewing the earlier brief, motioned toward the central screen. "This isn't just chatter anymore. Someone's seeding talking points." Elon raised a brow. "Who?" "A media syndicate. There's a 3-platform push, Reddit threads, Medium blogs, and coordinated podcast drops, all quoting the same phrase, 'One man's algorithm is the world's bias.'" He scoffed, almost smiling. "Cute slogan, but wrong villain." Lydia hesitated. "They're trying to frame you as an unelected censor." "They always do," Elon said calmly, "because they don't understand how code works. Or worse, they do." A beat passed. "It's not about the algorithm, Lydia. It's about control. They spent a decade pretending the platforms were neutral. That was their lie. I just made it too transparent for them to manage." He walked to the smartboard, scrawled 3 letters in red. TRI. Transparency, reach, integrity. That's the new doctrine. Lydia frowned. "Integrity's the hardest one to defend. Not when you're up against Mark Cuban." Suddenly the door buzzed. It was Ravi Patel, director of platform signals. "Boss, you'll want to see this." He held up a phone with a fresh alert. Cuban had just gone live on his own app, pushing the idea that Musk was personally manipulating timelines for political purposes. No guests, just him and a script. Musk took the phone, watched the feed for 10 seconds, then shut it off. He thinks this is a debate. It's not. It's a reckoning. He turned to Lydia. Schedule a transparency drop, full engineering breakdown, all algorithmic behavior patterns tied to user interaction, annotated all of it? Everything, Elon nodded. And timestamp it. Make sure the world sees that we've been showing our work. Long before Cuban started yelling about the test, Ravi interjected. That's going to shake investors. Are we prepared for that? Elon looked him straight in the eye. This company wasn't built to soothe shareholders. It was built to break barriers. He paused. And right now, Cuban is trying to build them back up. As the sun disappeared behind the Pacific, Elon stood in silence. Below him, 130 million users were still scrolling, unaware that tomorrow their feeds would become the battlefield for a war they didn't know they were part of. And at the center of it, one man wasn't just protecting speech, he was rewriting who controlled its future. March 2024, Los Angeles. Private studio, off-air recording of Jon Stewart. Show MarkCuban didn't wait for questions. He wasn't there to clarify. He was there to strike. The lights dimmed, cameras rolled. Before the host could open with his signature satire, Cuban leaned forward and launched into it like a man with nothing left to lose and no interest in playing nice. Elon Musk doesn't run a platform, he runs a pipeline, one where he decides what's pure and what's poison, and let me tell you, lately, it's been all poison. The audience, small, curated, progressive, stirred uneasily. Jon Stewart adjusted in his chair, trying to steer the show toward its usual rhythm. But Cuban wasn't interested in rhythm. This isn't about business. This is about power. Musk built a machine where the loudest voice wins, and then made himself the algorithm's favorite sound. He paused, letting the silence land like a gavel. It's a joke. The algorithm doesn't serve freedom. It serves engagement. And that engagement is overwhelmingly toxic, partisan, and personalized. If you disagree with a hard-right account, you're shown more. Argue with extremism, you get a buffet of it. It's digital escalation built into the code. He leaned in. And guess who holds the match? The man who bought the microphone and wrote the user manual. It was raw, undeniable, deliberate. Hours later, the clip leaked, accidentally or not. Every major network ran it before midnight. Journalists called it Cuban's boldest indictment yet. Twitter analysts ran sentiment breakdowns. Media personalities took sides. By morning, Musk's name was headline, battleground, and target. San Francisco, X headquarters, same morning. The war room pulsed like a submarine on alert. Screens bathed the room in blue light. Pulse lines of sentiment, chart spikes, heat maps of outrage. Lydia Chen burst in, her voice firm. You need to see this. She tossed the tablet across the table. The clip played in high definition. Cuban's face, Cuban's voice, Cuban's full frontal attack. Broadcast now to an audience of over 80 million. Elon didn't blink. He waited until the final word faded. Then he set the device down and looked toward the ceiling like he was gauging how much oxygen was left in the room. So, he said, quiet but lethal. He finally said it out loud. Lydia spoke fast. He's moving fast. Already booked for MSNBC and Bloomberg tonight. Tech podcasts are splicing this with old footage of you and Rogan. And Axios just published a feature comparing X to Fox News for millennials. Let them print it, Elon said. They've been dying to say it for years. He walked to the control console and brought up the internal heat map. Deep learning models showing user behavior by ideology, region, and trigger keyword. Ravi Patel joined in. We're detecting coordination. They're using the same phrasing. Elon's algorithm is autocracy. That's not organic, it's messaging. Then let's message back, Elon said. Pull the transparency report forward. I want every data input visualized. Show exactly how Cuban's own interaction history shapes his feed. Make it digestible. Make it brutal. Lydia raised a brow. You want to expose his bias in public? No, Elon said. I want to expose his illusion of neutrality. He stared out the window. He built his career mocking systems, but now he's protecting one. Later that day, internal comms briefing. The team gathered. No press, no cameras, just numbers and impact. Elon stood at the head of the table, sleeves rolled up, posture coiled like wire. Here's the reality. Cuban isn't wrong about the feedback loop. He's just lying about who causes it. He tapped the screen. The algorithm learns from user behavior. If you spend your day yelling at right-wing accounts, it assumes that's what you want. That's not manipulation. That's user-led reinforcement. Ravi added, it's basic input theory. The machine isn't partisan, it's obedient. Lydia scrolled through the data dashboard. Cuban's top 10 interactions over the past 60 days were all with partisan influencers. 8 of them were confrontational. 6 were, quote, tweets dunking on conservative talking points. That's why his feed looks the way it does. Exactly, Elon nodded. He's not being punished. He's being reflected. Silence. Then Elon stepped forward. But this isn't about correcting a misunderstanding. This is about revealing a strategy. They want to frame algorithmic logic as ideology because it scares them more than censorship ever did. Why? Because it doesn't need editors. It just needs attention. He turned to Lydia. We're done playing defense. Tomorrow we go live with Operation Open Circuit. Full algorithmic mapping, she asked. And a user-controlled demo, Elon confirmed. We'll let every person on this platform see exactly why their feed looks the way it does. No mystery, no gatekeepers, no Cuban. That's going to trigger a media meltdown. Good, Elon said, smiling coldly. Let them try to censor transparency. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C. Back-channel chatter reached Capitol Hill. A senior aide to Senator Martin Feinstein typed a terse internal email. Cuban's rhetoric is escalating. If Musk launches a full transparency campaign, we may need to reframe the narrative. Suggest prepping talking points on algorithmic ethics, potential AI regulation, and user protections. The war had jumped from broadcast to beltway, and neither side was backing down. March 2024, 6:12 a.m., San Francisco. The morning broke over X headquarters like a countdown had finished ticking. There were no press conferences, no blue-tinted trailers, just one push notification that went live to 138 million devices. You deserve to know why you see what you see. Today you will. Welcome to Open Circuit. And with that, Elon Musk flipped the board. 9:30 a.m. The launch room. A dozen terminals lit up in synchronized waves. Engineers monitored system stress, while real-time feeds began to populate with user-specific diagnostics. Graphs, visuals, and interaction heat maps unrolled in front of the public, each one showing exactly how their timeline was built. It was nothing short of revolutionary, or, as Lydia Chen muttered, it's digital confession from the algorithm itself. Musk stood behind the glass partition, arms crossed. Truth doesn't need a narrator, he said quietly, just exposure. Ravi glanced at one monitor. Thousands of users were already posting screenshots. Now I understand why I keep seeing that, one said. Another, damn, this was me all along. Sentiment score is climbing, Ravi noted. Even the skeptics are impressed. But Musk wasn't smiling. Wait for it, he said. Cuban's still quiet. He's processing, or prepping. Elsewhere, New York City, Mark Cuban's personal office. The light from 6 different screens bathed Cuban's face in a dull glow. Open Circuit was on every outlet, every podcast, every timeline. His face was now appearing beneath the words, algorithmically neutral. The phrase Musk had hard-coded into the public dashboard. And worse, his own feed was being used as a case study, highlighted in red. Visuals showed how his engagement with polarizing accounts, even sarcastic or critical, told the system, show me more of this. And it obeyed, precisely, without ideology. It wasn't censorship, it was reflection. And Cuban was watching his own public credibility be sliced apart by his own usage data. He turned to his communications director. How the hell do we answer this? She didn't respond immediately. We can say it's a privacy breach. He showed everyone their own data, Cuban snapped. There's no breach, just a better mirror. Back in San Francisco, 1:15 p.m., at XHQ, the media had shifted from condemnation to confusion. Journalists who had spent a year calling Musk a menace were now awkwardly acknowledging the brilliance of Open Circuit. Editorials pivoted from rage to reluctant admiration. On CNN, a panelist muttered, "Honestly, I didn't expect this level of clarity. I thought we'd get charts, not accountability." Musk's comms team handed him a live sentiment pulse from 50 key influencers. Over half had changed tone. Some had even admitted it. "I was wrong." The guy didn't hide power. He handed it back to the users. 4 p.m. Emergency roundtable at MSNBC. Cuban dialed in remotely, his voice sharper than usual. "This is a tech stunt. Let's not get fooled. The system still learns from us, but that doesn't make it neutral. It means the feedback loop is now marketed as transparency." The host nodded, but the spin was losing oxygen. Even the audience could feel it. Something had shifted. "Look," Cuban said, pushing forward. "Musk built a platform that lets the loudest win. He's just put a bow on it now." But moments later, the program cut away to something far more gripping. Live broadcast, a user simulation demo. The screen showed a user interacting with both left and right-wing content. Each click reshaped the feed in real time. Musk's voice narrated over the visuals. "This is how it works. It doesn't judge. It responds. Engage with rage, and rage multiplies. Engage with nuance, and it learns. The platform doesn't push hate. The user behavior does. That's not tyranny. That's truth." There were no logos, no Elon glamour shots, just raw logic, code, and cause and effect. Millions watched in stunned silence. 7:45 p.m., Washington, D.C., Senate Media Office. Senator Feinstein's aide closed his laptop. "We can't regulate this," he muttered, not without admitting we never understood how it worked. 9 p.m., San Francisco, roof of X headquarters. The skyline glowed below. Musk stood alone, watching the data streams through his phone, glowing like threads of fire. Lydia approached. "You won." "No," Elon said, still watching. "We didn't win anything." "Then what is this?" "It's a reset," he said. "Now the question is, who's honest enough to live with it?" She looked over at him. "And Cuban?" "He'll talk," Elon said. "They always do. The ones who lose control never stay quiet. They try to rewrite the story." He locked his screen, but this time, the story already told itself. Below them, the city didn't sleep. Neither did the feed. March 2024, 6:15 a.m., Washington, D.C. The nation woke to a strange new reality. News tickers rolled slow and awkward across television screens. Anchors stumbled over their words. Editorial writers scrambled for new angles. Overnight, Open Circuit had gutted their most precious weapon, narrative control. And somewhere inside a nondescript media control room, MarkCuban sat hunched over a conference call mic, voice tight, patience thinner. "Listen to me," Cuban snapped. "You can't let this settle. If we normalize Open Circuit, we lose the framing advantage, permanently." The network executives on the other end stayed silent. Cuban ground his teeth. "You don't beat Musk with articles. You beat him with outrage. Find something, anything. Push the idea that it's dangerous, that it's privacy invasion. Hell, say it's weaponized transparency if you have to." Still, silence. Finally, a programming director coughed awkwardly. "Mark, we can't push a panic narrative if half the public is thanking him for it." That silence wasn't just awkward now. It was funeral. 9:47 a.m., San Francisco, X headquarters. The boardroom was flooded with morning sun. Lydia Chen set down a fresh report on the glass table, eyes flashing with restrained triumph. "Public sentiment scan, 72% approval, cross-party lines, even blue states are flipping." Elon barely nodded. "And Cuban?" "Flailing," Ravi said, flipping through data feeds. "Scrambling press releases. His last interview got ratioed so badly they pulled it mid-broadcast." Elon tapped the table thoughtfully. "He thought this was about me. It's not? Lydia asked. No, Musk said quietly. It's about who owns reality. Me? I just gave it back. He stood, the floorboards creaking faintly underfoot. And they have no idea how to survive in a world they don't script. 12:23 p.m. New York City. Cuban's private recording studio. Cuban's hand slammed against the glass of his desk. The private line to his legal team buzzed, ignored. His communications director stood frozen nearby. The last bastion of the narrative, the last fortress of benevolent tech stewardship, had been cracked open, and the floodwaters weren't ideological. They were mathematical. Cuban knew he couldn't stop the code, so he aimed lower. Leak stories about bot infiltration, he ordered. Anonymous sources. Discredit the dashboard. The comms director hesitated. That will be traceable. If it backfires, do it, Cuban roared, or we're finished. 3:42 p.m., D.C. Beltway Insider Meeting. A group of junior senators, Democratic strategists, and left-leaning media executives huddled behind closed doors. The topic, regulatory intervention. The problem, credibility collapse. One strategist spoke plainly. We can't call open-circuit misinformation. It's too transparent. Another muttered, we need a narrative pivot. Maybe position this as dangerous AI behavior, seed concerns about algorithmic mental health impacts. They knew it was weak, knew it smelled like desperation. But in politics, perception always outran weakness, until it didn't. 7:05 p.m., Live Town Hall. Voices of America. Elon Musk entered the studio alone. No entourage, no handlers. Just him, a stage, and 4 moderators bracing for war. The first question hit hard. Mr. Musk, do you realize the psychological harm you're unleashing by showing people how their online behavior shapes their worldviews? Elon's response was pure ice. You're asking me if the mirror is responsible for the face. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The second moderator leaned in. Are you weaponizing transparency? Musk stepped closer to the edge of the stage, voice cutting clean. Transparency doesn't need weapons. Only lies do. The third moderator tried a softer jab. Isn't it irresponsible to expose behavioral data without guiding users toward better habits? Musk didn't flinch. You want me to parent them, I want them to own themselves. The final moderator, visibly irritated, launched the last blow. Isn't this just a Trojan horse for right-wing radicalization? Musk smiled. Not the smug smile they expected. The kind of smile you give when you know the building's already burned, and your enemies are still inside pretending they smell smoke. You're terrified of an open marketplace of thought because you know you can't compete in it. It's not the radicals you fear. It's the ordinary people realizing you lied. The room fell silent. Live viewers across the country leaned closer to their screens. For the first time in years, the conversation wasn't about control. It was about ownership. 10:37 p.m. Musk's private office. Post-town hall Lydia entered, carrying a single sheet of paper. Trend data, top phrase of the night. She handed it to him. In clean, bold letters, it read, I choose my feed. No spin, no media gatekeeping. Just a decision, just a choice. 11:59 p.m. Final entry in the war log. Elon Musk typed the last line in his private journal, a simple one-line entry saved into an encrypted drive. You don't conquer a system, you outlive it. He closed the file. Outside, the digital world roared on, but it wasn't being dictated anymore. It was breathing, wild, chaotic, and finally free.